The Turf Mile is a grade one. It's the 10th race on the Saturday card for the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar, and it's running a mile on the turf, obviously, for 3-year-olds and up. And I think this is the best race of the day, without a doubt, maybe for both days. Look at this field. You've got some just phenomenal imports from Europe, Porta Fortuna, notable speech, the 2000 Guineas winner, Diego Velasquez, who's been garnering a lot of attention, was a 2-year-old champion. Ramatuelle, who just won the Prix de la Forêt at Longchamp. Then for the Americans, we've got Carl Spackler and More Than Looks. Then we've got a couple of Japanese imports, Geoglyph and 10 Happy Rose. So this is and then not to mention Johannes, who's just been tearing it up out on the West Coast. So this is just a great field, and it's going to be a really fun race. Ramatuelle is on the rail in the one hole, and this one just won the Prix de la Forêt. But if you look at her running lines of filly, she's 0 for 2 in the mile. And it seems that maybe 6 and 7 furlongs are better distances for her. And if you have to differentiate, it's picking hairs for sure between the prominent Euro runners, who I think are the best in this field. I'm going to let Ramatuelle go just based upon that. And at 5 to 1, I think that's a little short. Chili Flag, we know the mile is his best distance. He won the Just a Game earlier in the year and second in the First Lady to Carl Spackler last time. This is a nice horse for Chad Brown, and he's a late runner. And I think he's demonstrated he's certainly good enough. While I don't know if the class it matches up with those of the Euros, that the races he's been running in, which they probably don't. But he's a horse, because he's running late, I think he can factor in this race, and I'd certainly use at 20 to 1 underneath. Geoglyph for the Japanese. Now, I've heard Clocker reports that he's looking pretty good and that he's running well. However, this horse hasn't won in 2 years, and has not been effective at the grade 1 level. And it's, to me, those things make him awful hard to back in a race like this. And so I'm going to let him go. You want to put him underneath at a price, I could understand it, but I don't see him as a win candidate here. Diego Velasquez has garnered a lot of attention, and I didn't find in the race replay analysis, I apologize that we weren't able to get a lot of material on him, but I've since found the Sullen Away Stakes and the Meld Stakes, and I did go back and watch them both. I had seen a replay earlier in the year when Diego Velasquez was going to run in the States, and watching the most recent races he's running, my opinion hasn't changed. I think he's a plotter. He just is a horse who will just grind it out. And in this race, I think you need a horse with explosive turn of foot, and that's just not Diego Velasquez. He is by Frankel, just the sire of sires, the best sire in the world. But and he's got Ryan Moore, and Nate O'Brien obviously thinks a lot of him. But to me, that's the differentiating factor, is just the way he goes about it. He looks like a plotter to me. I'm going to use him, but I like others better to win. Goliad, is a local horse for Dick Mandela, and we know his record in the Breeders' Cup is pretty damn good, and you do get Flavian Pratt here. This one just won the million stakes at Kentucky Downs very impressively, and he's a good miler out on the West Coast. But as we know, horses following up at Kentucky Downs do not do well in the Breeders' Cup. I think they're over. And to get that type of trip and scenario, even though he is the lone speed in this race, I think is highly unlikely, and I really don't think they're going to let him get away with a soft lead. So he's a cut for me. Notable Speech won the 2000 Guineas earlier in the year, and since then, he's been kind of a hit or miss type of horse, and he has that Auguste Rodin thing where sometimes he doesn't show up. The Prix de Moulin de Longchamp was on soft turf, and he ran okay, but not great. Now, if you go back to the Sussex Stakes, that's what I really liked about him. He ducked in on the rail. And once he turned on the afterburners, he just exploded past what was an extremely good field. Really good. Sonny Liston, just did one off the top of my head, but it was a loaded field, and he blew them away. He is a 3-year-old going against older, but he's already proven against older that he can be effective. Charlie Appleby, William Buick. I like Notable Speech in this one. Porta Fortuna is a filly I've really liked and has seemed to have blossomed, winning starting with the Coronation Stakes at Ascot. This one likes firm turf. We know this. We've seen it before. She ran in the juvenile Phillies turf last year and got second, so that's not a problem. And I think it elevates her to a degree in this field. Maybe not past the more prominent horses, but I think she's certainly one that you have to take seriously in this race, and I like, and I'll be using liberally. More Than Looks for the Americans. This one has yet to win this year and has run well, though, and has had a couple of good seconds, the Coolmore Turf Mile and the 4-star Dave. He'll be coming from behind. I think this horse has every chance to get into the money. I don't know about winning it, but I think it's one that you can use. And at 20-1, that's just a great price for a really nice horse. Johannes is the California horse, and he's just been beating up on the California horses out there. So he really hasn't been beating much. This is certainly a horse with quality, without a doubt. It 9-2, though, for a California horse, it really just asking a lot. I'm going to let Johannes go for that reason. Could beat me for the trifecta or the super, but I don't see Johannes, while being a nice horse, I just think class-wise is maybe a little over his head. Win for the money for the Canadian import. The Woodbine Mile he won was kind of conditional, had a lot of things work his way. He's been a solid performer in Canada, but that's the extent of it, and I think he's just over his head here, and I'm going to cut him as well. 10 Happy Rose won the Victoria Mile and paid $207.60 for good reason. You look at his running lines. He hasn't run anything comparable to that in his career, but he did win the race. I'll tell you what, the Japanese are going to throw a bomb in somewhere. This might be the one. I'm going to put this one underneath. You're going to get a monster price. Why not? If you have to choose between this one and Geoglyph, the price is going to be better. And, maybe lightning will strike twice and this one will get in the money. And if so, it fattens up the trifecta. That's really the extent of my interest. And then finally, we have Carl Spackler. This horse hasn't done anything wrong. He's an excellent miler, but he is parked in the 12 hole. And you remember last year, Carl Spackler had quite a few races where he drew the furthermost outside post, and Chad Brown scratched him out of a couple. This race, that's got to be doomed here. He's a really nice horse without any doubt. But when you have to split hairs, the post is something that you have to look to here, and he might be able to get in the money, but I'm not going to take him at 6-1, not especially when he's parked out on the 12 hole. So, summarizing, looking at the field, I'm going with Notable Speech. I think that turn of foot is really, if he shows up, that is a big question mark, but I'm pretty confident that he will. We've seen that before with Aidan O'Brien, horses who run a disappointing effort, then he gets them right back to top form, and I think that'll be the case here. We're going to use him. We're going to use Diego Velasquez more for under. I think Porta Fortuna has a chance to win this race. Needs probably a little bit of a break to do so, but I think will be a solid use here. And then we're going to use the late runners, Chili Flag and More Than Looks, and we'll throw 10 Happy Rose in there for the odds and nothing more. So going to our wagering strategy, we'll go with a win bet on Notable Speech. We're probably the best odds you're going to get from this horse. We're going to do a 6-7 cold exacta with Porta Fortuna, and then we'll box them. Then we'll do an exacta key with Notable Speech on top with Diego Velasquez, Porta Fortuna, and More Than Looks. Just hoping that, I think on the outside, More Than Looks has a better shot at getting a good trip than Chili Flag. So We like more than looks a little bit more. For the trifecta, we'll do 6 on top with 478, 478 key. And then we'll key one more with 6 on top with 478. And then we'll throw in the late runners, Chili Flag, and we'll throw 10 Happy Rows in there for giggles. And hopefully it'll come in to really fatten it up and give us a nice ROI. So that is the Turf Mile. I think that's just going to be an outstanding race, and I really can't wait to watch it. That's probably it's usually my favorite race of the Breeders' Cup, and this is no exception for sure. Hope our analysis helps you with your own wagering strategy. Wish you the best of luck as always. And if you do like content like this, of course, please like and subscribe. And we thank you for your support. It really does help us continue to bring content to you. That's it from here. The Dirt Mile, as we will have that first thing Saturday morning. I'm just not going to be able to do it. Time doesn't allow with the Breeders' Cup about to start. It's now Friday at 4:45 Eastern Time. I hope you understand, but be on the lookout for it tomorrow morning. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. Good luck. Breeders' Cup about to start. Can't wait. I'm sure you can't either. And be well until we meet again.